Hey guys, and welcome back to Mangotology. If you're new here, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Steven Mango, and I'm an ex-Scientologist that works here on YouTube to expose Scientology. So if you want to stay up to date on all my videos, please make sure to go down below, hit that red subscribe button, and turn on your post notifications by tapping the bell icon, and you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video exposing Scientology. Also, if you're new and you're wondering about my journey and experience inside Scientology, I have a 2.5-hour video. It's called Inside the Scientology Celebrity Center, An Ex-Parishioner Reveals All. That's my full story from being a man on the street to ultimately being on Scientology's posters and being a full-fledged member of Scientology Celebrity Center. So if you're new, I highly recommend starting there if you want to know about my whole journey inside Scientology. And this channel is devoted to my work exposing Scientology, so there's about 100 videos here on my channel. So if you're new, enjoy your weekend binging on all the videos if you want to know about all of Scientology's secrets. But for today's video, we're going to be talking about Brad Pitt and the allegations about how he almost died on Scientology's sweatbox ritual. We're going to talk about what this program is, talk a little bit about the article, whether or not this is true, and talk about a little bit maybe about my experience on this program. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but Scientology believes that any sort of drug, toxin, chemical, alcohol, environmental, chemical, smog in California, say for example, food that might be in a plastic container, you microwave it, it goes into the food, it goes into your body. But basically all of these different type of things, pesticides outside on the lawn, these all absorb in your body like a sponge, and they store in the fatty tissues of your body. So when your fat breaks down, these little tiny, like say this is the fat, and this is like the drug, say this is like a blown up version of a molecule, it's in the fat. So as it breaks down, this molecule is going to, again, go through and circulate through your body and your bloodstream as the fat is broken down for energy. So years later, or probably more realistically after a few days or a few weeks or even months, you might start feeling like nauseous or have a headache, or your joints start to hurt and you wonder like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand why I have so much brain fog. And Scientologists believe that because your fat is breaking down, it has all of these drugs stored in your body. So doing Scientology's Purification rundown, it consists of taking mega doses of vitamins, and you do 30 minutes on a treadmill and 4.5 hours in a sauna. And I can go into a little bit more detail in the end if you guys are interested in like the full rundown of this program. But just so I'm not rambling here, just giving you guys a quick rundown of what this is. It is a program you do 7 days a week for sometimes several months. Sometimes people have been on it for even like a year plus, depending on your drug history. And you have to do this regardless if you've been in Scientology for a week or if you've been in for years, or rather, what I'm trying to say is if you're a second-generation Scientologist and you've never even taken a Tylenol, you still are going to be placed on the program versus someone who's like actually like a drug user. Because again, just being in our world today, they believe that you're always absorbing all these different sort of chemicals into your body. So you do this program, it costs anywhere from say $2,500 to $5,000. This is something you do once every 5 years or so in Scientology. I did 2 in 4 years. Again, we can get to that a little bit later in this video, but again, if you have any experience in Scientology, it's the first introductory step on the bridge. So of course, all the celebrities that you guys know of have done this program. So people are wondering about what is Brad Pitt's involvement in Scientology. Now, I've heard this before, that he's done at least a course or 2 in Scientology because he used to date Juliette Lewis, who's an actress who is a second-generation Scientologist. Her dad is like an OT5, I believe, right now, and she's been involved all of her life, and she got Brad Pitt in through their relationship. So again, if you're a celebrity Scientologist, you have to bring in your partner to some degree. They have to either be willing to accept that you're in Scientology, go to some events, take some courses, and be willing to support Scientology. If you're a Scientology celebrity and you bring in someone who's a non-member of Scientology, they're going to either have to convert or they're going to disconnect and break up, because you can't have someone who's not on the same page as you, because that's going to interrupt your spiritual freedom and your progress. And Scientology wants your partner to be involved because it's the greatest thing for the greatest number of dynamics for humanity. Why wouldn't you be willing to do Scientology? If you're not willing to do Scientology, then clearly something must be wrong with you. So again, by her bringing in Brad Pitt, it was probably a big step in their relationship. So of course, like if I was straight and Jeff was my partner, he would have to either be accepting a Scientology or join, or we'd have to break up. And obviously he was anti-Scientology when we met, and I chose him versus Scientology once I woke up and realized it was a cult. But if we were in a straight relationship, because obviously they're not gay friendly, you have to either pick your religion or your partner, and that's what it kind of boils down to. So let's actually read the article, and then I'm going to tell you guys more about the program and everything. But yeah, I've heard of Brad Pitt being in Scientology, but I didn't actually know he did the Purification rundown. So we're going to actually look at this ex-member's account very quickly and read what actually happened and how he was near death on this program, which actually happened to me. I had a very traumatic experience where I almost died on the program, so we're going to get there, but first let's talk about Brad Pitt. The title of the article says, Brad Pitt almost died from a Scientology drug detox, claims former Scientologist. The article goes on to say, a former Scientologist claims that Brad Pitt almost died from a Scientology drug detox. Sam Domingo, the daughter-in-law of famous opera singer Placido Domingo, and a former member of the Church of Scientology, alleged to Radar Online that Pitt had a near-death experience 2 decades ago due to a Scientology ritual known as the sweat box. According to Domingo, who left the Church of Scientology in 2004 after 22 years in the religion, the sweatbox is a purification rundown that detoxes drug users. Brad was recruited in the 1990s during the time he and Juliette Lewis did a movie together, Domingo told Radar Online. That's when he was on the Purification rundown. She further explained that the sweatbox, which she described as dangerous, is a program where they basically load you up with vitamins and you sit in the sauna and sweat for 5 hours a day. At least 4 kids have died on the program, Domingo claimed. Brad was doing the same one. He was in the sweatbox. For those wondering if Pitt is a Scientologist, Domingo confirms he is not. The ex-Scientologist claims that the once-upon-a-time in Hollywood actor, who is friends with known Scientologist Tom Cruise, left the church immediately after the near-death sweatbox ritual. He left. They weren't able to keep Brad, Domingo told Radar Online. Yeah, maybe he did this program. I know that I did the Purification rundown with some celebrities myself. I don't actually believe, and this is my opinion on this article, I don't actually believe Brad Pitt was close to death. I know that sometimes these tabloids and different magazines try to twist the truth, make it as the most juicy, salacious story that could be out there. But from my personal experience on this program, yes, I had actually a very bad experience the second time. I had a good first experience on the program. But you have to be in good shape and good health to do this program. It's very hard to go on this program and sit in a sauna for 4.5 hours and run on the treadmill for 30 minutes a day if you're not physically in shape. And if you think about it, you are going to feel somewhat better if you exercise and sweat every single day and eat healthy. That's just the inevitable. There's actually no medical science behind this program. It was developed by L. Ron Hubbard. There's no medical professionals that are overseeing this program, which again is very dangerous. They just have people who are trained in this program. And you also sign forms saying it's a spiritual program, not a health program. So you go on this program and you're signing forms saying, I'm not promised that this is going to actually help me from a medical standpoint, but it's going to help me spiritually, being able to cleanse myself of these toxins to get more of a spiritual awakening, if you will. So that's actually another way that they probably avoid legal repercussions from a medical standpoint, because you're embarking on this knowing that it's not a medical process, it's a spiritual process. So I don't know how they get away with that. And when you start the program, you have to see a Scientology medical provider. So when I saw mine, it was at Dr. Megan Shields' office. I didn't see Dr. Megan Shields, who since passed away from cancer because she was doing like some holistic treatment, and she didn't live. And I saw one of our other doctors. He took my blood pressure, took my weight and my height, and he was like, all right. And he signed off on the program. Good luck. So it's not like you see your normal everyday physician who would warn you probably not to do this program. You see someone who actually encourages you to do the program, and it's like just another legal step to sign off that you are in somewhat of a good health shape to be able to do this program. But they sign off for basically anyone to do the program. Now, could he have been close to death or have some heat stroke or a bad experience? Maybe. I doubt. I feel like we would have heard about this from other ex-Scientologist accounts, or it would have been leaked out in the media, or Brad Pitt himself might have been talking about it. So I don't actually know if I believe that 100%. I'm not saying that this woman who comes forward is a liar. I just know that sometimes the tabloids do twist things to try to sound more dramatic, to open their stories, to get more clicks, so on and so forth with that. Now, in my experience with this program, I know probably actually more, but I would say 2 bad experiences for 2 different people, one and another person on this program. Now, you also have to keep in mind you do this program with a twin who is your partner on the program. And at Celebrity Center, knowing that there's so many people, you don't have the same twin every single day. You could, but again, you have to start the program at a certain time and end it at a certain time. So if you want to come in with your twin at 11 a.m. and it's flexible when you want to start, you have to do it for 5 hours. And you have to show up at the same time, take the vitamins at the same time, treadmill, and go into the sauna, so you start and end it at the same time. And you write up a worksheet, and there's different questions on the worksheet that you have to answer, and you have to write about, like, for example, they'll say that you're running out drugs, obviously, in the sauna, because when you sweat, you're able to take out all these impurities from your body. So if you start to feel high and you start smelling marijuana, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm having a marijuana trip. And then once you sweat it all out, after a few hours, you'll say, I feel so much better, I got the marijuana out of my system. And you tell the case supervisor, and then that's how they tell, like, when you're done with the program, they tell how much more vitamins you need to take, and they kind of adjust the program, so on and so forth. Now, if you're in Kentucky, there might only be one other person on the program, so if they want to start at 8 a.m., you have to do it at 8 a.m. And I want you guys to really see inside the day of this program, because many ex-members tell you, for example, like, you know, I got recruited into Scientology. Then all of a sudden I started working for David Miscavige. And you're like, how do you get from point A to point B? What really happens in Scientology? So I want to tell you a little bit more about this program, since it is a very vital program that a lot of people do. And it is a very scary result. I did have heat stroke and almost die on this program, which we're getting into. So if you're in Kentucky, you might be on this program with someone else. Now at Celebrity Center, there's so many people who normally do the program as an introductory step. There's a celebrity sauna in one section of the Celebrity Center, and another sauna for, like, the public, which is like the big sauna area with like 2 saunas. It's in the basement of Celebrity Center. And I know that some of the celebrities do actually do it in the public sauna because it's smaller, A, in the celebrity area, B, there's not so many people doing the program. Obviously there's only so many celebrities willing to do it, and it's not like as nice, not that that's not as nice as a facility, but sometimes they do go into like the main Purif area, so they don't have to have a staff member just manning the celebrity area like a one-on-one thing. They want to do it with the everyday people, which is what I did with the actor from True Blood. Grant Cardone was on my Purif, and again, Grant Cardone is a whole separate video that we need to talk about Grant Cardone at some point. But when you go in, like, just say like you start in the program, there's like the basement with the 2 saunas. You go upstairs and it's like the main purification area. They have like towels, they have like a changing area, and they have like a little window door area where the purification in charge is. There's Vicky and Robin, and there was another girl, I don't remember her name at the time when I left, so there was 3 in charge people. And then when you move out of that like room area, there's a separate like little gym area that has like the treadmills and ellipticals and like the actual gym equipment. So you check in the morning, and then they open up your pre-clear folder. We all know what a pre-clear folder is by now, and they write down everything that happens in auditing sessions, or this is considered a session, right? Because you're doing like a spiritual program doing the Purif. So you check in, and they'll be like, Steve, your case supervisor says thank you so much for the wonderful win that you had. We're going to increase your niacin. Now, niacin is a B vitamin. It turns on a flush in your body. That's one of the side effects of niacin. Now, Scientology believes that radiation, like from the sun or just in general, stores in your body. So say you get a sunburn and you have like a little butterfly pattern on your bathing suit, right? And you get a burn over the bathing suit. Scientology believes that when you get the flush, that it's turning on the sunburn and the radiation. So some people see patterns from like their bathing suit or like say bra straps and stuff, and then you're like, wow, like it's turning on the sunburn. I'm flushing out all this radiation from my body. Now, if you have some brain cells, you might actually be able to say that, hey, it's actually because you have skin damage and a burn. So when the healthy skin is going to look different than the burned skin. So when it does turn on the sunburn, you actually see the pattern, but it's really just the damage of your skin that might actually have a bit of a pattern. So then you kind of flush. Like say for my arms, like you might be able to see like it's a little darker here than here. So of course the niacin flush is going to show up differently on the 2 different skin tones. So I can say, oh my God, it's a sunburn coming out through my body, right? And you take up to 5,000 milligrams. It's safe, let's say, in 5 milligrams, right? So you're taking a mega dangerous dose. You can hallucinate. You can just have like really serious repercussions from this niacin. You guys can look up niacin and niacin flush and what I'm actually referring to. Again, I don't want these videos to be 5 hours long. I could go 5 hours, but you guys get the drift. And you take vitamins and you drink a calcium magnesium drink. The calcium magnesium drink is supposed to like relax your muscles, and it's good for like sleeping and relaxing. So if you have like drug withdrawals, this is supposed to help you like calm your body down from like the jitters. And if you're also having withdrawals, they do these touch assists, which are these like magical Scientology, mystical healing touch things, right? So for example, one of them will go like this. You go through all different, you go from the right to the left, for example, right? So you go, feel my finger. Thank you. Feel my finger. Then you go, yup. Thank you. The auditor will say, feel my finger. They touch and then you say, okay. And they say, thank you. Feel my finger. Thank you. So they go like on each side to make sure that what you do on one side, you do on the other side. And they go up and down over your body until you say like, wow, like I feel so much more in communication with myself. I feel more in my body. I don't feel like I'm floating in the air. So they do different ones, like a nerve assist. They go like this and they pat your back down and then they come back up and they make you flip over. I used to do these and then you go down the nerve channels of the body. So they have different like little healing sort of things they do as well. So once you take your vitamins and you change, you run on the treadmill for 30 minutes, that gets the niacin flowing, you start turning red, flushed, really prickly and itchy, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling that you'll ever have. You then go downstairs into the sauna and you sit. There's two saunas, one's more for Sea Org, one's more for public, but now they're kind of intertwined. One was supposed to be a male and a female sauna, but everyone's kind of male and female all together. You're not naked, you're in a bathing suit, shirtless, but now they have uniforms so you can't be shirtless. I don't know if it's like a sexual harassment type of thing, actually. The reason I say that, because especially with women in bikinis and stuff, there used to be a lot of men who used to make sexual comments towards the women, so when the women would complain, they would actually say, oh, you know, he's just re-stimulating mental image pictures, and it's almost your fault because you look sexy. So they blame the woman. It's the woman's fault for looking too sexy in the sauna or like turning on the man. So it's like, again, this like twisted thing, like not saying like the guy's like a perv or something like that. So go in the sauna and you sweat. You have like a water jug and you, again, go in the sauna and you're in there for like say 20 to 30 minutes and then you come out for like 5 to 10 minutes and you go in for 20 minutes, come out for 5, go in for 20 minutes, come out for 10. And it's a little bit flexible. I used to take breaks for sometimes like 30 minutes because it would be so hot and I would get like very delirious. I hated being in the sauna that long. I can still right now smell like the eucalyptus when I think about it or smell like the sauna. It's just one of those like traumatic memories that I have. And after you do that at the end of the day, you drink oil, like straight oil and lecithin, because they say once you get rid of the bad fat, you have to replace it with a good fat, which actually doesn't make sense. Like regular oil and lecithin doesn't replace fat in your body. So if you start losing weight on the program, like people want to do it to lose weight, they don't let you lose weight. They make you drink more oils and fats. So then you don't actually like lose like your body fat, I guess. So again, when you're drinking straight oil, you're pretty much not going to lose any weight. So you do that and then you go home. So that's basically how like the program would work, and you come in 7 days a week. If you miss a day, you go back to day 1, 100 milligrams of niacin. You have to graduate all the way to 5,000 milligrams and then say the end phenomena. I have no longer have the effects of drugs and toxins. You write on your worksheet. Before the sauna and after the sauna, like day 1 to like say day 400, you have to do a personality test. Asks you questions like, do you like to browse railroad tables just for fun? Would you ever, you know, abuse a child if it disobeyed you? So you answer all these questions. An IQ test and an aptitude test, which is like legit, they ask you like math questions and stuff. So then you see like your graph and it's very low, say like in the beginning. So once you're done, you have to be able to show that your graph and your personality is higher. So like when you try to sign up for your next course, they say, wow, look at how you went from being like so miserable to feeling so great. That's because you got rid of all the drugs and toxins and chemicals out of your body. So could you imagine what the next Scientology course is going to do? So that's how they brainwash you and trick you to make it seem like there's concrete evidence that this program produced a change in you. And if your graph gets worse when you try to say that you're done with the program, you have to go back on the program because clearly you're not done. And there's ways to trick the e-meter to try to say that you're done. We'll talk about that briefly, but for me, quickly, you guys know my story. I was in the sauna one day and it was about like say 4 hours into the sauna. I'm just approximating at this point. This is about 2012, I would say that this was when I did the program. I did it twice because I admitted I drank alcohol after I did it the first time, so they put me on it again. I had to go through ethics interviews. I had to answer all of these different questions. If I'm a spy, if I'm part of the, government, do I have security clearance? Like all these like weird things to get approved to do it the second time, because I drug reverted. Could you believe it? They considered me a drug revert when I never did drugs in the first place. So again, very weird. And I had to do all this ethics stuff. That's another video about what happened with that. But I was in the sauna, and I was actually sitting with like Grant Cardone, which, because you may or may not know about Grant Cardone. Let me know if you want a Grant Cardone video. I can expose Grant Cardone. But anyways, I was with Grant Cardone, a couple of other ones, Tamara Meskimen, who's like Jim Meskimen's wife, who was like an impressionist type of person who's on like America's Got Talent. I believe Tamara was in the sauna that day. But anyways, there's a lot of other people in the sauna, and I threw my water cup in the air. This is after I was feeling so delirious. I was feeling high, but it's not real. They say that it's because you're like re-stimulating the drug in your body, but I didn't have any drugs in my body, so I don't know what's going on. I threw the water cup in the air, and I was just kind of like floaty kind of feeling. So the next memory that I have of that, after Grant Cardone was laughing, and he was like, oh yeah, like you're tripping out there, bud, like you're having fun, or like, oh yeah, like high again, like without having to like actually like smoke or something, right? They just made it seem like, wow, like it's so cool, like he's tripping out, he's having a great old time, and really I'm having heat stroke. I'm out in the cool off area. Vicky, the Purif in charge, comes downstairs, and she starts doing the Scientology objectives sort of thing to like bring me back to present time. So she'd be like, Steve, like look at my pin. And I had to be like, yeah. And she'd be like, thank you. Like look up at the sky. Great, thank you. Look at the refrigerator. Thank you. Look down at the ground. Thank you. Look at your flip-flop. Thank you. Look at this girl over there. Thank you. And they ask you about looking at things in the environment to like get yourself to be kind of oriented back into the physical space. And she did that for a while, and I was again feeling like completely out of it and like loopy and crazy. So they had someone bring me into the shower, put cold water on me, and instead of being like, hey, like cool off, drink some water, whatever, they put me back in the sauna. Now you guys may be wondering why that is. So the idea is, if I'm running out the drug, you just don't say go back home. You have to stay in the sauna. They force you back in the sauna to sweat out all the rest of the drug. And until you're like, wow, I feel so much better, squeaky clean and perfect, then you can actually be like, okay, like, I'm done for the day. But you actually have to stay for several hours. It could be 10 minutes. It could be whatever you need it to be until you get all that out of your system, or else you're still going to be like feeling high or whatever. It's like unfinished business to them. So they brought me back in the sauna, and I knew some of them were like looking like they felt kind of bad for me. And another very weird thing, I don't know if I talked about this in my video, my 2.5 hour video that I mentioned this story, but there was like this little tray, and it had like eucalyptus oil on it. So I got up, because again, I'm like out of my mind, after having heat stroke and being like completely like, I was blacked out for a while until they actually were able to make me wake up and then do all those drills and stuff like that. So when I was like aware enough to be in the sauna, I got up and almost tried to touch this burning hot tray with eucalyptus oil that is sitting in like 145 degree sauna. And the reason I did that is like, oh, there's actually, I can't say the works, I want to get in trouble with YouTube, but there's Coca-Cola on the tray, and I never did that before, but again, I'm out of my mind. So I was convinced there's Coca-Cola on this tray, if you know what I'm talking about. So one of the girls in the sauna grabbed me, and they do these like body drills, I guess, in Scientology, where they try to, and like the objectives, so like you can actually sometimes have to like use tone 40 intention and like get someone's body and like move their body around the room. So like you'd grab someone's shoulders and like you'd like walk them to the wall and be like, touch that wall, and if they don't do it, you grab their hand and you press it on the wall and you go, thank you, and you have to be like in charge of them. So she was doing like this drill, like being in charge of me, so like she would basically take control over my body because I was still too high to control my own body in their minds, which is weird. So again, they were doing that to me, and after like maybe 7 to 8 hours in the sauna, I got to leave that day. So I think that this is a torture and a control sort of thing. I don't think a lot of people have actually talked about this program being like this, but it's used to, I think, control, manipulate, and wear someone down, that after hours of sitting in these hot saunas, they can like say reg you. So that would happen, like there'd be registrars after I was like worn down and tired after this whole program, or I'm more suggestible, and after hours of these, or in days and weeks of doing this program, you're more under their control. So I actually think that's what was going on with me a lot of the time, was I was under control by the Scientologists and their programming and everything like that. Another story is this woman, her name was also, I believe, Vicky, and I have a disconnection story about her, but again, I'm not going to be talking about all of that, but she was someone I really liked. She was maybe say in her 60s, I would say, at the time, and she was already clear, whatever, but was redoing the program, and her husband, Daryl, was on staff at Pasadena, Oregon, stuff like that, but she was completely, dead. She wasn't dead, but she looked dead. She was lying, basically they were checking for her pulse. She was completely gone and out for say 30 minutes, and people are wondering was she okay, what was going on. And you could order food down to the sauna and stuff like that, and I think she was ordering just buckets of salt for herself afterward or something. I don't remember what she was eating, but just really salty food. And again, you could order food. People have weird cravings, I want pickles, and the room service would bring you pickles into the sauna. So it was always weird, but she was yeah, I was actually running out anesthesia from my body, so she felt like she was being placed under anesthesia while this heat stroke incident most likely was happening, just like how I had heat stroke. Instead of calling a medical professional or anything, they don't want the attention to give someone an IV or to get them to the hospital or check their vitals. They didn't do any of that. No one ever took my blood pressure, anything like that on the program. They just put me back into the sauna, because whatever L. Ron Hubbard says to do, that's the truth. They don't believe oh, the person's having heat stroke, because that's going against what L. Ron Hubbard says is occurring. He says you're running out drugs and alcohol from your system. So Vicky was running out the anesthesia, and she said yeah, she remembers basically she's basically hallucinating, right? That they were putting on the mask and injecting into the anesthesia, and she was remembering her operation or whatever she had. So on her worksheet after, she was writing it all down as such a big win that, oh my God, I was running out anesthesia and this is what occurred to me, and then I ran out of my body. Thank you so much to L. Ron Hubbard for the technology allowing this to happen, or else I'd be so bogged down in the rest, in my life from all these people putting these drugs into my body. So it's looked at as a good thing. So once you're done and you attest to the program after all of this stuff happens and you feel like I'm done with the program, like I said, you take the IQ test, the aptitude test, and the personality test, and then you have to, they write up to the case supervisor and everything to check everything, and then they'll say, okay, you can go to a test. So to attest would mean to finish the program. You're on a routing form and you have to see different terminals in the org. The routing form, again, I want to do another video in more depth on what a routing form is and how that's also kind of controlling and a way to extort money from you, but you go see the examiner. So the examiner is a guy or an auditor or a female, whatever, and they sit behind an e-meter. You walk in the room, they say absolutely nothing. The reason they say nothing is because they don't want to evaluate for you. They don't want to talk to you. If you're on a high after an auditing cycle, or a session rather, they want you to go in, hold the cans, and be I am clear, and then the needle floats, and they say, yes, you're clear, right? So they don't want to be oh, how are you feeling? And you're what do you mean, how am I feeling? You can't tell, I'm beaming, and it might affect e-meter to be able to attest and finish a course, because the examiner is the person you see at the end of any auditing session, any action in Scientology. After any book course, you see the examiner to verify and validate if you're done on the e-meter, which is their holy spiritual device that's kind of a lie detector, more or less. So you go in there, the guy says nothing. You pick up the cans, and then you would say, for example, I realize my mom is an SP and I feel so much better since I cut her out of my life, and I realize that's what was bogging me down. Then the needle has to float, which is 3 consecutive swings of the needle. Now, L. Ron Hubbard said, again, if we're getting into technical Scientology stuff, the needle for a floating needle is just kind of 1 consecutive sweep of the dial. When David Miscavige redid the technology and made everyone do auditor training again, it was 3 even sweeps of the dial. So if it happens twice, it's not a floating needle. So then they watch the dial, and they watch, and they look at the e-meter. It feels agonizing. It could be minutes, it feels and they just wait to see if your needle floats. Once it floats, they'll say, your needle is floating. They're taking notes and they're looking at you and with a creepy look, and then you can go to finish the course essentially, and you go see you write a success story, and there's a whole process to it. So after everything, I would sit there, and they have these little cards when you finish a big auditing session or a level, right? So then after the purification rundown, so they'll have a little card that has the EP, the end phenomena, which you have to claim that you achieved. So on the card for this one, it would say, for example, free of the residual effects of drugs and toxins. So they'll see that I finished the Purif. I'm holding the cans. They give this little, it's in a little recipe box. They pull it out and they hold it. in front of you, and then you read and you say, I, Stephen Mango, am free of the residual effects of drugs and toxins. And you're like, float, 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 bitch, float, right? And then eventually, you know, they'll say, oh, your needle is floating, if it does. If not, then you're going to go into corrections, and it's a whole entire thing. So there's ways to actually trick the e-meter. Some people with their toes, they go like this, and they'll just slightly move their toes, like not like very like back and forth, but just like a little, very slight. I don't know how to describe it, but maybe I'll get an e-meter one time to show you guys some different e-meter stuff. If you guys are interested, maybe I can bring an auditor on my channel or have someone audit me to show you guys what it's like to be in an auditing cycle, an auditing session rather, and you do that. Or some people go like this, and they like, it's like you very, very slightly grip the cans and release, and that can sometimes cause a floating needle. Most people just think of happy thoughts. Like for me, like I love Britney Spears so much, so if I think about meeting Britney Spears or like something that would make me very, like you get like that rush, and that can give you a floating needle. So people, it might be Disney World for them. It might be whatever that makes you so happy. You just think of that. You'll be like, I'm free of the residual effects of drugs and toxins, right? And then you're like, Britney Spears, Britney Spears. Like you think about these happy things in your head, and then you hope the needle floats. If you like aren't sure if it's going to just float on its own, you have to be like really, really like happy to get the needle to have like a sweeping floating needle for 3 swings. And people do that just to trick the e-meter. There's so many people who talk about it, about little tricks to like get the needle to float, like to get out of the session or whatever. So that would happen a lot. And like to pass the metabolism test to go on the e-meter in a session, the trick that I know that works, in case anyone ever needs to know this, for whatever reason I'm sharing it, they say that you have to be like well fed, well rested and whatever. And basically on the e-meter, they have to do a metabolism test. They tell you to breathe in and then breathe out like through like your stomach, I guess. Or that's kind of like the trick that I do. They say breathe in and let it all out. So then they watch to see if the needle has like a sudden drop. So what you do is you want to feel your stomach, you want to press it out on the breath. You go and you press out your stomach and like your diaphragm, and then you go while keeping your stomach extended, and then eventually you kind of just like let your stomach go in, and that kind of shows like the nice clean read for the metabolism test. So that's another little trick if anyone's ever trying to trick an e-meter. I don't know why I wanted to share that, but there's little ways. I'm just saying that it's not as foolproof as Scientology makes you think that this device is. That's basically what the Purification program is and what actually happens on the program. Again, like I said about Brad Pitt, do I believe he had a near-death experience? It's possible. I do know that they put children on this program too. You could be on it at like 7 years old. They have the Mace Kingsley Center, which is a kids Scientology like school or center rather, where you can do Scientology services as a minor. So they subject kids to this. You do have someone on the program with you, like an adult, that will watch the kids. But again, it's all based on L. Ron Hubbard. There's no nurses on the program. It's a spiritual process. It's not a medical process like they try to sell it to you when you go to these free workshops. Like when I went to my workshop, they'll have ones like, I know Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife, has had them at Celebrity Center, Jenna Elfman. They'll have celebrities actually do like the introductory informational thing on it. Like you go for free, and they have Michael Weisner, who's this like toxic environmentalist doctor person, talk about how they'll give like a recent example in the news too in the introductory class, like about chemicals in a certain food product, whatever. They'll bring it up in the seminar as a way to make it like relatable to like say 2019. They'll say they just found out that this has this chemical in it, and this is how it would affect someone's body, but you can get rid of this on the Purification rundown. And Tom Cruise actually worked with getting a lot of people on the program from 9/11, the firefighters and other citizens of New York. There was a grant, and they got all these firefighters through. So they also show pictures of like towels from like the firefighters, like they'll like wipe their face, and it'll be like the dirt and smoke from that. They'll have examples of people who say like smoked marijuana, and you could smell the towel and see that the person's towel smelled like marijuana as proof that these are storing in your body and sweating out on the program. So they have little examples and like little like ways to show you proof that in their eyes that this actually happened. Of course, if you smoke marijuana every single day for 30 years, when you're in a sauna, you're probably going to smell like it when you're sweating it out. And there's probably some type of small relief from sweating it out, but you're not going to get rid of like heavy drugs. And a lot of the times they're not storing in your fat tissues for more than maybe like 30 days, for example, with marijuana. So again, it's not medically certified, guys, but I guess you guys got a little bit of an insider scoop into how it works with the program. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say is, like, if you're like a celebrity and stuff too, besides the celebrity sauna, they will come in if you're on set and you're working on a movie, and you have to do it, like I said, 7 days a week. So what happens if you're on set filming and from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m.? Well, they'll be there at 3 in the morning for you, like right after you finish shooting, to guarantee that you make your day and you do the purification program. So the Sea Org member will stay, they'll get someone to do the program with you. So they go through any extent to make sure that you're on the program 7 days a week, or else it could be considered a blow for the staff member because one of their students blew from the program and they have to go through ethics and what happened. And there was also actually a ethics issue. One of the girls in the sauna was a registrar before, and she talked about like how to avoid regging, and that didn't go over well because it's like stopping regging from, it's like the greatest thing is to help bring money into Scientology. In Scientology's eyes is to disseminate Scientology, to sell Scientology service, and this person was like almost stopping it by teaching people how to avoid giving money to Scientology. So they sent her to ethics. They were interviewing other people in the sauna. They had to go on the e-meter, like, who did you tell? What was their response? And there was a lot of drama about what actually happened with that because Aiden was talking about it, and it was a whole entire thing. But I just want to share that little anecdote as well too, that nothing you say in Scientology is safe, because I think one of the people reported it and said, oh, she was talking about how to avoid ethics. So there's always spies in Scientology, and I have a lot of stories, guys. I have a whole channel. I'll tell you guys more if you're interested, but I did want to give you a little bit of an, I know the video was long, but I want to give you guys a little bit of an insider knowledge of what it's like to be on the program and do these things, because some people just think, oh, Scientology, you're believing in aliens, and you don't see like the day-to-day life of what actually happens when you're doing a program like this. And you're on this program sitting in a sauna with other actors, other entertainment industry people, and if you were a creative person like myself, you never had someone who, like, say, believed in you, right? When you're growing up, and I moved to LA and I felt rebellious, and I had other people like, yeah, good luck in Hollywood, you'll never make it. And you're in the sauna and you have people telling you, like, we want to help you, we want you to rely on us for advice, and we have more experience, we'll network, you can meet my agent or my manager. I had, it was the mother of the late actor from The Sons of Anarchy, Johnny Lewis, Ivana Lewis. Like, she gave me, she was on the program with me, she was an OT8, but she was doing the program, and she was like, hey, like, you should meet Aaron Renna, who's a talent manager, and saying, hey, she helped Johnny's career, just say you know me, and here's her email address, and maybe she'll give you a meeting, and we're going to help you. And she said, I'll do anything to help people get famous if it means them being and promoting Scientology to the public. So I'm like, wow, like, that's actually kind of cool. Like, I'll talk about Scientology if you help me get famous and get acting jobs and stuff. That is my dream. But it's almost like this group mentality, because it's your early day in Scientology. Within the first couple weeks you do this program, and you have all these other people, sometimes well-known celebrities, that do the program with you, and they all tell you how much they believe in you, because in Scientology you never want to make someone wrong. Even if they're the worst singer and they say they want to be a singer, you're like, yes, you'll make it, right? And you're so wonderful and talented. You never want to make someone wrong in their thoughts. So, and so many people like pushing me and believing in me and telling me how great I am, and I'm like, wow, like, this is really awesome. And it really reinformed like this group mentality that I was doing something right and I belonged. So that's just another little thing, another form of the brainwashing, mind control of this group. But anyways, I rambled for too long, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy videos like this, go down below, click that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, give this video a like, and leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think about everything that we talked about today, and I will see you on my next video. Bye, guys.